Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. So today we are creating a highly requested recipe. Everybody always asks, girl, what's your classic red velvet cake recipe? Just the cake and the cream cheese frosting. Well, today I got y'all. We are making a classic red velvet cake, y'all. This cake is super moist. Like, you can just see the moisture in every cake layer, but this cake is super easy, like at the same time. Let's get into the recipe. So first we're gonna start off with our wet ingredients. We have vegetable oil, buttermilk, we have vanilla, we have both of our eggs, red food coloring. Now I use the whole, it's like McCormick red food coloring. I use the whole one. If you don't, your prerogative. We have vinegar, and then we're gonna mix all of our wet ingredients together and make sure everything is well incorporated. You will see that it'll take a while for the oil to kind of mix in, but it'll come along. So now we're gonna move on to our dry. So here I have our cake flour. I'm gonna add in unsweetened cocoa powder, baking soda. It was a little, there we go. Granulated sugar. And we're gonna go ahead and make sure that this is well incorporated. Now you wanna mix this very thoroughly because you don't wanna wonder, you know, sometimes things happen, stuff start flying out the bowl. Was that all my baking soda? Was that all my cocoa powder? No. So you want to make sure that this is well incorporated, and it should look just like this, like a light tan. So we are going to take our dry ingredients and literally dump it into our wet ingredients. Now I did it a spoonful at a time until I got down to enough that it wouldn't make a mess if I just went ahead and poured it in. And then you can do this with a stand mixer like a KitchenAid. You can use a hand mixer, or you can use a whisk. Honestly, this mixed together so easily that I just use a whisk. There's no point in messing up all them dishes. So go ahead, use what you have, use what works best for you. And then as you can see, it comes together very, very simple. So I'm just gonna take my spatula and run it along the edges of the bowl to make sure that all of my ingredients are well incorporated. So here I have my baking pans that I'm gonna spray with Pam's baker spray. Now you can use Baker's Joy or whatever non-stick baking spray that you have. We don't do butter and flour, we ain't got time. So you're going to go ahead and spray your pans down from the bottom to the top, to the sides. And then you're going to equally distribute your batter. Now I am not super anal to the point that I need every pan has to be the exact same. Like, no, just eyeball it, and you want your layers to be pretty much equal, okay? So just distribute it equally to the best of your abilities, and wham. So you're going to take your cake pans and kind of hit it against the counter to get out any air bubbles, and voila. So as you can see, we have enough batter for, you know, 3 decent sized layers of our red velvet. We are going to bake this on 350 for about 45 minutes, or until the toothpick comes out clean once you insert it in the middle. So it's been like 45 minutes and our cake is done. You want to take your cake out like just when it looks just about done, and then if you press on it and it springs back and it doesn't like fall through, that's how you know that it's ready. So we're gonna let this cool and make our icing. So I started off with unsalted butter and 2 packages of cream cheese. Do not worry, all measurements and ingredients used will be located in the description box below. So you're gonna go ahead and mix your butter and your cream cheese just so it's well incorporated and that it's smooth and not lumpy. There are no humps and lumps because we don't want lumpy icing. Then we're gonna go ahead in and add our vanilla, and then you want to incorporate that in also. So once your cream cheese and butter is smooth, you're gonna go ahead in and add your sugar, just a half at a time. You don't want big balls and clouds of sugar like poofing up at you, so you do want to add this in gradually. And then as you can see, I kind of worked my way over to the side to get it all well incorporated, instead of just turning it up high and just making a mess and having stuff all over your kitchen. Okay, so yes, you're going to go ahead and incorporate as much as you can, and then you're going to go ahead in and add the rest of your sugar. I do not sift my sugar, I pour it straight from the bag to the bowl, and as you can see, it turns out just fine. Okay, so go ahead and finish mixing your icing until it's nice and smooth. Don't forget to work down the powdered sugar that's on the top side of the bowl also. That is important. So when you're scooping out your icing, to go ahead and ice the actual cake, you don't have any random powdered sugar on top, or that ends up just, you know, poofing all over your cake. Voila, our icing is complete, and as you can see, it's nice and smooth. And just, oh, I love cream cheese frosting, y'all. That is my favorite, and it complements the cake so well. So our cake layers, I actually popped them in the freezer for about an hour, because it just makes it very much easier to frost the cake and stable. And then it just makes sure that the cake is down to the temperature that we need it, so that, you know, it's not warm in the middle and melting our icing. So I have the cake stand that my cake is going to be on. I put a little bit of icing on the bottom so that the cake does not move, especially while cutting. And then you're going to put just a little generous amount of cream cheese frosting in the middle, and you're going to work it and spread it out so that it's just a nice thin layer on all pieces of the cake. And then I'm using an offset spatula to do this. So once that's done, you're going to repeat the process. Just as you don't want to put too much icing in between each layer, because honestly, it's going to be a lot of icing on the outside of the cake. So you don't want to have it. It's just too much frosting. It's not cool. Just a very thin layer of icing in between, just enough to enjoy. So we have all 3 layers stacked up. So now what I'm gonna do with the top layer, I'm going to start a crumb coat. I know majority are not bakers and are not familiar with what a crumb coat is. So all a crumb coat is a very thin layer of icing that kind of locks in all of the crumbs so that it's not present in your final presentation. This is a cake for my house, and I'm pretty sure those making this, it will be the same. Or maybe we do have some bakers that are going to use this recipe, but I'm only using it so that the design that I'm making sticks to the cake, because you're going to need something to stick it to instead of just piping it directly on the cake layers. So I used a Wilton 1M tip. I have my handy dandy piping bag, and then this is called the seashell method, if you are familiar with cake decorating. And I'm just going to do that all around. I just wanted something that was going to give the cake a very nice classic feel, but also very simple and easy to do at the same time. And then it's something that's different. You don't really see this. You normally see this type of piping along the border of cakes, but not necessarily around the entire cake. So that is why I went with this design, because I wanted it to be really, really pretty, because it's nothing like a really pretty but bomb tasting cake sitting on your counter in a dome. Like, that's undefeated. And I'm gonna show y'all how pretty this is. And you can make this for your family. You can make this for customers and sell it. This cake is universal. Okay. So yeah, if you decide to do this design, it's going to take a while, but it will get there. So enjoy the piping. So here I'm just touching up any little pieces where some cake may have been kind of popping through, because I want my presentation to be A1. And voila, here is our classic red velvet cake. Y'all, this was so freaking pretty. I honestly did not want to cut into it at all, but this was the look that I was going for, because it gives like very much classic lady. Like, she just so pretty, sitting pretty, very classy, and just unbothered. I love it. So dun, da, da, da. We are going to cut into our cake, and I try to do this extra slow so I wouldn't get a lot of frosting in between when I cut it, but you know, it is what it is. And voila, y'all, you see how the cake sticks to the bottom? This cake is so moist and so like light, airy, fluffy. I love that the cake itself is not like overly sweet, and so the cream cheese frosting really complements this cake so well, because the red velvet cake itself is just not a super sweet cake. So it's a bomb ass combination of just lusciousness. Y'all, get into how beautiful this cake is. So thank you guys for tuning into another video. You guys have been asking, so I had to deliver this classic red velvet cake recipe. I will see you guys on our next video. Thank you for watching.